Yo, what's up Patreon fam? My name is Skybreak. Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be breaking down my remix of Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. If somehow this tutorial isn't enough information for you, I actually live streamed the early stages of making this remix on YouTube, so you can go check that out. I haven't looked into this project in a little while, so I'm kind of going in blind, but hopefully we'll be able to learn some stuff. Frankly, this is my first time using my updated Skybreak lead, and I'm excited to show you guys how I did that. Anyway, let's listen to a bit of it to refresh our minds.
Nice, I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fucks, are on vacation. And I got this one boy, and he won't stop calling in. When I act this way, I know I got him. Too bad your ex don't do it for you. Walked in and dream came true for you. Soft skin and not perfume for you. Yes, I know I'm not into it for you.
But anyway, I guess let's just start from the beginning. First, I'm going to just turn everything on. So for pro strat, by the way, if you're ever making social media content and you're in a really CPU intensive project, put the WAV or MP3 really far down in the project and mute all the layers so it looks like it's the project playing, but it's actually all coming out of one audio file. It's a lot easier on the CPU and you can film at much higher bit rates. Anyway, I just had to undo that. In this little intro section, my all-time favorite effects is to have this kind of kilohertz gate thing. What a gate does is basically anytime something is below this threshold, it's going to automatically cut it out. And so a really fun glitchy effect to do is just to turn down the attack, tolerance, and hold, and sometimes even the release. So you start to get this kind of buzzy crackliness. So it's a really fun way to get some glitchy effects. Anytime that like the volume shape of the drums gets quiet enough, it'll just automatically cut everything, and it just gives us a little bit more glitch and depth. And then we've also got this plugin that I adore called OCS45, which comes from Spectral Plugins. This is absolutely free. This has been my like pro strat. I can't afford RC20. Just kidding. But this is a kind of cassette simulation that's very similar to RC20 that's absolutely free. And so we've just kind of got the default cassette mode. We've put in a little bit of flutter, which is like a really fast kind of tremolo-y pitch thing. So like a vibrato. And we have the wow, which is a very kind of slow vibrato. Then we have some dropouts as well. It might be hard to hear this unless you're using headphones, but it's just giving us a little bit more brokenness. Like sometimes the audio will slightly cut out and pan a little bit left, and sometimes it will slightly pan a bit right. And that coupled with all the glitchiness we have of the gate kind of makes this feel like it's being played through a crusty speaker, which I thought was a fun way to start the tune. These two effects just completely switch off after this first 4-bar phrase. You can see we have the mix level manually turned down there. So I have this sample called 113 Glitch Hop Groove. This is from a very whip tune of mine that is like glitch hop, and it was my first time messing around with addictive drums, so it kind of sounds like this. Addictive drums is so good for breaks. But anyway, we've done a little bit of processing. We've pitched this down a little bit, which I guess you just heard the pitch down version. And it just serves as a nice kind of groove enhancer. That's it, put through the gate. And then we have the Isotope Trash 2 that is just completely choking the fuck out of it. I find it really fun, especially with percussion loops, to just like click around the preset manager. Oi, like, that's kind of sick. That's cool. And just kind of like clicking through these. Like, I really like that one. Listen to the stereo it does. But clicking through those, you can really stumble upon cool, happy accidents. Like, let's hear how this tune would sound with that. Obviously, you'd have to mix it in. I think the gate choker presets is a lot more kind of transparent in the context of this mix, or like it's what I wrote the tune around. So yeah, that sounded like this. And then when we add in the kick drum, again, this is all being affected by the gate and the OCS. It's a perfect example to show you what this sounds like without that. And then on top of that, we have this little piano. I just transcribed by ear the chords of the original tune. It just kind of does this 2-chord comp that So yeah, it's just kind of 2 chords. It's the D minor with a couple extensions and an E minor with similar extensions. So I just toyed around with that. That's being played through the Spitfire felt piano, which is a lovely plugin for $20. I think most of the Celeste soundtrack by Lena Raine was composed using this piano, so you might recognize it from there. And then we have a Flex bassline. Flex is a free plugin that comes with FL. That's just kind of like bootleg Contacts. But they've got a couple of bass guitars that I've been a big fan of using, so we just have this. And then we have a little bit of processing, so dry, just like that. But we just get a little bit more crunch. You can hear that the plugin's automatically adding these like kind of squealy slides and stuff. And I just thought they added a level of realism to the tune. I'm just bringing that out with a little bit of wave shaping and limiter. I guess there's a little EQ as well, ducking out some of the mud that I was hearing at 200 hertz. And then we have a little tape hiss. Let's turn this up a bit more so it catches the gate. You can hear that the gate is working overtime to have this tape hiss sort of like enhance certain drum hits, and I think it added this sense of like realism. Like if you're playing through a crusty speaker, it's probably got a crusty cassette hiss or something broken about it as well. I don't know. Most of the instrumental is just these elements without the OCS 45 end gate. One of the things that's great about a remix is there's no guessing games on like what the vocal melodies are going to be, so you can really just compose a tune around it. But Sabrina Carpenter put out this convenient Mocapella on Spotify and stores, so I just bought it, and yeah. So it's literally exactly the same as the intro, except now we've got the clap from Hydrate by Skrillex. I think I found like a Reddit pack with all the Quest for Fire drums. And then I have a couple of AU5 samples actually. And these little lasery perks just add something to the hat. It's hard to explain. I guess I'm using the hat from Hydrate as well. Another trick, I'll usually have my hats on the offbeats for genres like house and UKG, but if you ever so slightly delay them, and instead of just kind of going, you know, click, 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 and it completely being snapped to the grid, I'll hold down the Alt key and just kind of like ballpark it, and it adds like a sense of humanity. You can see how rigid these 4 look, but then if we do this with the Alt key, it just adds a little bit of imperfection to it, like a... Let's turn off the OCS because that's going to bother me. Versus just kind of... You hear how it has a little bit of that like like a little bit more pocket when you do that. So that's what I've done with the hats here. Absolute pocket there. And then they're being enhanced, like I was saying before, by these little AU5 laser chops. Oh yes, another cool trick is getting a different kind of kick sample, pitching it up, and like adding it on the 16th note right before your downbeat. So you get like a ba-dum, ba-dum, like this ricochet effect between the kicks. So yeah, these drums sound way more complex than they are, but that's just due to more human positioning of the hi-hats and the kind of laser beam hits. So that's that, and then we also, just holding it place, have that glitch hop groove that I wrote in Addictive Drums for a unknown tune that will never see the light of day. Once we have all that, you know, we put the acapella over.
I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck. Are on vacation. And I got this one boy.
And it's just solid. Then we obviously have a bit more variation that comes in after a while with this piano. Like we have this little chromatic movement, which isn't necessarily in the original, but because I had 2 chords that were comping, you know, your D minor and your E minor, there is a note in between them, so it was kind of fun to do like a downward thing back there. Adds a little bit of like silly jazziness. There's nothing crazy music theory-wise going here. As you can see, it's literally the exact chord before it that I've just kind of done a shift and down arrow. Exactly the same chord, just down a semi. So yeah, we start having the piano mirror the melody here. And it sounds, again, really off-grid because we've manually penned these in by hitting the Alt key, which unrestricts us from the grid. I think that's the main takeaway from this tune. Also, to give it a little bit more of a jazzy feel, I do these little note slides. You take the note below the note that you're trying to go to that's still diatonically compatible, writing in the C major scale, so instead of just going ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, which sounds kind of flat, when we add this C underneath and we just sort of delay the D, you get like a... It just adds that little bit more like jazzy ooh, you know? And then again, nothing crazy, too crazy music theory here, but we're going up the C major scale that this song is in the harmony, which is this D, E, F, G. I use this progression all the time to drop into like an A minor, because it's supposed to go dun, 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 dun. And then you go into like the root bounce. I don't know. Instead of doing diatonically correct chords, which would sound like this, we're again doing that chromatic thing. So I did a little bit of voicing tinkering, but the basic gist is we're copy pasting these exact chords with their exact voicings and then bringing them up like this. And that gives us a more jazzy sort of feel. Harmonically, it's still, everything is in key, but the chords themselves, the notes that we're adding on top and the extensions are all messy because we're literally doing a minor chromatically. It works really well in this tune. I like the jazzy aura that it gives this track. So this next section here, I'm just gonna work without the vocals so you guys can really hear the nitty-gritty of production here. So we bring in this sample, which I believe is available in one of my Patreon sample packs, and I'm not sure which one, but you can definitely go grab it from the like big conglomeration pack that I put out back in January. If I were to guess, I probably made like a UKG loop or maybe even grab one off Splice. It sounds like I just did what I was doing before, just going through isotope trash presets, and then I would have thrown it through some like convolution reverb thing. So we've got that, and then we've also got this noise you hi-hat shuffle from Splice, which just adds a little bit more groove to the mix on top of the groove that we already had going before. And then a couple of like rides and hi-hats and open hats. Gives us a little bit more like variation in the pregs. It's crazy what just the difference in hi-hats can do to a track. Exact same kick and snare, or kick and clap, I guess. Okay, let's talk about this lead, so we don't have to talk about it in the drop section. But this lead, we're doing some kind of brain dead stuff. So most of this, if I just mute all the effects, it's literally just a saw wave and a bandpass, and you have this macro that's on the bandpass. And since we have a little bit of resonance in there, we almost get like that kind of meowy talkiness. If we run this through a FabFilter Saturn, this alone is going to do the heavy lifting. I have this on old tape mode, which is just kind of like a very crusty... It's kind of squarifying the sound, but if we change around this bandpass before it starts to get squarified, you get this... It's like a more expressive sync, and it's like the simplest signal flow trick.